cop killers, terrorism, gun laws. Is this hell on earth? What's going on? What happened in the past 8 years? My name is Tom, the host of Weapons Education, and like all of you, I'm feeling a lot of pain with everything that's going on in the world, the carnage that we're living through. Things are different than when I was a youngster, that's for sure, and they're certainly different than what they were just 8 years prior to this. In this video, I'm doing, per your request, a discussion on, well, let's start with cop killers, and then we're going to talk about terrorism. We're going to talk about the France nut job who took a tractor trailer and just mowed through a bunch of people. We're going to talk about gun laws and how it affects us. Let's start with the cop killers. You know, for instance, the 5 cops that were killed in Dallas, innocent cops there at a Black Lives rally function. They were peaceful, but they needed law enforcement to make sure things stay in check so it doesn't turn into a Ferguson. We need law enforcement. I come from a family of law enforcement, and as a matter of fact, in this video I'm going to roll in an interview that my father did a few months ago on Fox News. He was on Fox and Friends. We'll get into that in a moment because I think he'll say it better than I do. As an expert, being a cop who was disabled, paralyzed from the waist down, I'll get into that in a moment. But let's talk about Dallas right now and those 5 cops who were murdered, dead, and the other 7 who were horrifically injured, we know. Why is there so much hatred towards law enforcement? Now let me say this, a lot of you are going to probably think, well, you know, there are some bad cops, which of course, there's bad people in every industry. No matter what industry you think of, you got a good 5, 8, 9% who are bad. But I know a lot of law enforcement, a lot of Leos, and you know what? They're guys like us. And since I started my channel, I even know a lot more. From my dad growing up as a child in law enforcement to all aunts, uncles, relatives in law enforcement. I've known a lot of Leos, and recently I've really got to know them. You know what? They're like us. I go out to dinner with them. They're just regular guys. They just want to go to work, do their job, come home. They want to get their paycheck like we all do, get their health insurance and get their benefits. But think about what they do. I mean, they're going into some bad neighborhoods, pulling over in an unknown vehicle for whatever reason, and they're going to just knock on that window, and who knows what could happen at any traffic stop. They are putting their lives on the line. And think of a society without law enforcement. Just think about it. It wouldn't be too good. So I know a lot of you are a little down on law enforcement, but let's face it, we need them for all the right reasons. There's areas for improvement, yes, but as a whole, I really think Leos do a spectacular job, and I really feel for the law enforcement officers who were just shot. They were jumping on people to protect their lives, jumping on black people to protect their lives. I mean, that woman who spoke in the interview, who was her black lady who was shot in the calf, the civilian, and she was crying in tears saying how all the white police officers jumped on her to protect her, and then some of them were murdered. It's just horrific. And this Black Lives Matter thing, and I have to talk about Obama, President Hussein Obama, who did not, and this is my opinion, maybe you disagree, he did not pull this country together as far as racism is concerned, as far as the blacks and whites working together as one. He was supposed to do that as our first black American president. He did not succeed. As a matter of fact, he did just the opposite. Am I wrong or right? I mean, is there more racism now than there was 8 years ago? I certainly think so. And I tell you, I got a lot of black friends. I think they're awesome. We're all just human beings. I mean, Black Lives Matter. Well, of course they matter. Think about that stupid statement. They're humans. We're all humans. All lives matter. It's just such a silly, silly thing. Which I want to do what I want to do right now is we're talking about law enforcement, is roll a video clip of my father in here. And I love my dad, of course, and he's going through a tough time right at this split second. He's getting chemotherapy. He's got bone cancer, and at the timing of this video, which was only about 4 months prior to today, he didn't know he had bone cancer, and his cousin happens to be Quentin Tarantino, who is a jackass. I'm telling you right now, he's a liberal jackass Hollywood producer. Yeah, he made Pulp Fiction, which was a cool movie. He made some cool movies, yes, but he is a jackass. And he went to a Black Lives rally to get the blacks, and I'm sorry if I'm not phrasing it properly, if I should call them African Americans, or use the word them. We're all humans, we're all equal. I'm not no better than anybody, but let's just talk about what Quentin Tarantino did. He went to a Black Lives rally movement, and he tried to get them fired up against law enforcement. Oh, wonderful. Really, it was really just to promote one of his movies. I know that as a fact, as a family relative of his, just to get the blacks to come watch his movie at the time, which was coming out, some Western movie. All right, so they called my dad in, who's his cousin, and here is a clip of my father, his name is Frank, speaking to Fox News, and I think one of the best lines he said is, you know, no one likes a cop until you need a cop. So here's my father, let's watch him, and then we're going to talk about terrorism, and we're going to talk about gun laws and what we got to do to keep armed, and then we'll talk a little bit politics at the end about what's going on with the election. So here's my father right now.
However, I just do also want to say, what am I doing here? I'm doing here because I am a human being with a conscience. And when I see murder, I cannot stand by. And I have to call the murdered, and I have to call the murderers, the murderers. Now I want to give my time to the family. Thank you very much.
Here's a still image of my father on Fox News today, Fox and Friends. You might see him on Hannity and O'Reilly. But it's basically just shocked. Tarantino's cousin can't believe, you know, his comments. And let's watch a little bit of the interview right now.
Well, we're
My dad did just great.
1,500 to 1.
So you give you give the quality of your life up for the badge and for the city.
Absolutely.
You were out on a scooter today, you walked with a cane then. So here's your cousin, who you don't know, but he's related to you. He hops up and he starts speaking and says what we just showed America what he said one more time. What is your reaction?
It was terrible, disgraceful. I can't believe he made statements of that type. A man of his celebrity, instead of working to bring the community and the police closer together, he separated them more than ever. He caused a terrible situation and made the police job much, much more difficult than it normally is. And it is a very difficult job because you meet all types of people and your job is to be out there and keep the peace. And the only time the people really like a cop is when they need one.
Exactly.
But when they need a cop, they expect that man to go out there and put his life on the line for them. And the policemen do it every day.
Right. Now listen.
They're out there.
But Frank,
Yes.
we know that, and we know what the policemen are going and women are going through right now across the country, and the unions in Philadelphia, in New York, and the LAPD, and now Chicago are asking their friends and families to unite behind it. But some at home are saying, what's the big deal? Some famous director comes out with some irrational statements. Tell me, as an officer and a relative of yours, what is the big deal?
There's a man that could do good. Instead, he did harm. That's what hurts.
You embarrassed?
That he's not considering the life and families of a police officer. And these people that do these things cause more harm than good. And a police officer goes out every day not to hurt anyone, but to protect people and to make sure that law and order takes effect.
Right.
And when law and order breaks down,
right,
nobody's safe.
And
This is today's paper, New York Post. Tarantino's hero, NYPD cousin, my father, speaks out. Exclusive, page 8. Let's go to this. Look at my dad. Oh, he looks great, doesn't he? Kind of looks like me, huh? That was him, 25 to 30 years of age. Young man, good-looking guy, huh? So proud of my dad. Disabled, hero rips into NYPD hating director, which is, Quentin Tarantino. Quentin, I'm not going to slam you in this video because I have a lot of respect for you and your movies, but I'm going to give some suggestions that comes directly from your father, Tony, who is very close to my father, and I spoke to your father today, Quentin, for a long time. Let's get into that right now, and let's talk about how to stop all of this hatred towards law enforcement. So there you go. Put your comments in on what we can do to make all Americans and people across the world get along better with law enforcement. We all need law enforcement. I think we acknowledge it. We do not want too much law enforcement, and there's got to be a balance. Okay, so we don't want to militarize law enforcement. We don't want the government getting into us too much, but we do need Leos. With that said, let's talk about terrorism. Let's talk about Islam, the radical Islams. First of all, obviously not all of them are radicalized, but it's a problem. And it's not a new problem. It's actually a problem that's gone back to the 7th century, 6th century. They've hated the Western world from day one of their existence, from experts that I've been watching and learning from, and approximately 1% of Muslims, which even 0.5% to 1% of them are now radicalized, meaning kill Westerners, people who live free and have freedom. They don't like this. They don't like our freedoms. So that small percentage equates to about 1 million. So imagine if America knew who our enemy was, and we were up against 1 million bad guys, Nazis, whatever it might be at the time. At least when we were up against the Nazis, we knew who they were. They were the bad guys. Now they're just all mixed in around the world, and with modern technology, with the phones, the smartphones, and the internet, they could really get their crazy minds to pass on information to each other and do hateful things. So when you got this guy who just took a tractor trailer and mowed through 1 mile plus long of people, of packed in people, and just mowed them over, it's almost nauseating to even fathom or think about. Why do they do these things? Is because now they can pull together. For hundreds of years, they weren't able to pull this crazy mindset together like they do now. So what does our government do? Let's start talking about politics a little bit. We have an election coming up at the timing of this video. What has our government done in the last 8 years? Well, Mr. Hussein Obama has said that it's not Islam is not radicalized, and it's almost like ISIS is not real. It's like this little fake and a facade. Well, it is real. We've been dealing with it from the World Trade Center 1, the first time they were bombed, way back when, and then 9/11, and then so on and so forth. It is real. The Muslims, a small percentage of them, which equate to about 1 million worldwide, do not like us and want to kill us. So what's going to happen with this next election also has to do with us packing guns. And I shouldn't use the word packing guns. I take that back. It has to do with us defending our lives. Self-defense. Good, honest Americans. If Hillary Clinton wins, she came out and flat out said she wants to do away with guns. We know that. If Mr. Trump wins, Republicans win, they will protect the Second Amendment. We know that. So if you're wondering what's going to happen to gun laws, it's all about this election. This is the most important election in America's history. I said that about 8 years ago to myself. This is a pretty important election that Obama does not win, and it's been a horrific 8 years, but thanks to the NRA, past tense now, past tense, the last 8 years, the NRA has proven to have saved our gun laws and our right to defend ourselves. You see their ads all the time now, regularly on TV, if you watch Fox News and other major news outlets, which is good. The word is getting out, but we need more members right now. As a member of the NRA myself, and a national recruiter, and a highly respected national recruiter for that matter, and I thank all of you for that, I'm asking you to join the link below to the NRA through me. But I'll tell you right now, if you're not a member of the NRA and you want good gun laws, you're making a mistake. As a matter of fact, right here in Broward County, just last week, they wanted to outlaw so-called assault weapon sales, which is basically, in their mind, every rifle there is, at gun shows, only in Broward County. And then the NRA came in and was about to sue them, and then they backed off because they can't breach state laws. A county cannot breach state laws. They can't have different counties and states saying what laws are what because you're in their county. NRA saved Fort Lauderdale and the surrounding neighbors from that carnage. So if you're not a member of the NRA, go there. My final thoughts are we living in hell on earth now? We're not. I'm a Christian. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. He's here. But I also understand the devil is out there also. And all of us good people need to pull together right now. And think of all this carnage that's going on and think of something good that we can do, whether it's to help a cop, give him a thumbs up, or to go vote, make the right vote, that's a pretty important one, or to do something that you can volunteer your time to make your society better, do so, or if it's to start a channel the way I did. Whatever you can do to make this America better, and make it great again, and make us whole again. No more racism, no more hate, no more terrorism. Let's try to all be one. I guess I've spoken my mind. Now it's time for you to chat on the bottom. Thank you. My name is Tom. Check it out, and when I get in the car, I go into my new mindset, and if you're curious, at the end of the video, if you watch this long, this is a Smith & Wesson 1911, the E-Class. You've seen this on the channel. It's a beauty. Commander size, scandium frame, and two 10-round mags from Chip McCormick. And the blades, as you know, are the extra large Espada, which I never leave home without. And I do keep on this side a Spyderco. Civilian today is a civilian, but I like different Spydercos here. Anyway, thank you. Bye-bye.